Friday on Prediction Markets Edge right here on the early line. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Raineri. We got you for the next half hour. Investing money in markets that maybe you didn't think you could invest in, Joe. Now, for me on a Friday, Joe, with the Miami Vice look, little Don Johnson, Donnie Rightside makes some sense. Have some fun. Nice weather heading off into the weekend. We got a big half hour to bring it to the people. Some great guests coming up to talk the Belmont this weekend. Also, how about that?
Got a little something for everybody here,
Yeah.
but of course it's going to start and kick off tonight with Game 2 of the NBA. But, now again, we talked about it, Donnie. Buy low, sell high. Well, now we got a 1-1 game, 1-1 series in the NHL. We might have a 1-1 after tonight in the NBA. Is there any value in buying low on some of these teams? We'll have to go over that.
Absolutely, and we will do that, Joe. But before we get there, we like to bring the news and notes into the marketplace where, if you're not following along, a lot of things going through Congress and also regulations of what these markets can actually provide. How about this from Nathan Bomey, a tweet? Kalshi sent this letter to key Democrats responding, Joe, to concerns about underage usage and problematic trading, noting that its average age for its active traders is 31 and that the median deposit for 18 to 20-year-olds is $25, Joe. Trying to get into the good graces, saying it's not problematic. It's not 16-year-olds logging in. It's not 18-year-olds with thousands of dollars. It looks like people are just trying out the marketplace, but the average trader, Joe, 31 years old.
Makes total sense, Donnie, because it's if you've gone from not the sports book side of things, but if you're already in the financial side of it with the markets, then you probably have a pretty good understanding of what's going on. But if you've only dealt with sports book side of it, you can't. A lot of folks having a hard time understanding what does the 23 cents mean? How does this work? I'm used to making a play and, Donnie, having that outcome have to happen. What do you mean I don't need them to actually win if I'm betting them to win?
Exactly, but let's get down to the business tonight, Joe. Game number 2, NBA Finals in San Antonio. The Knicks and the Spurs on the Kalshi Marketplace. The favorite? No question. It's going to be San Antonio tonight. Chance to win listed at 66%, but the yes contract, Joe, actually inflated up to 68 cents, which means a $100 investment on the San Antonio Spurs to win outright tonight, Joe, pays back 148. But as we know, game number 1 went to the New York Knicks by double digits. You think they can win outright and go up 2-0 in the series before heading back to a Monday night game in the Garden? A $100 investment pays back 304 on the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to be interesting here tonight, right? What version of these two teams shows up? Because both these teams left plenty of room for improvement here after game 1. So are we going to see that improvement here tonight, or is it going to be all one way? Listen, the Knicks stole home court advantage here, but I'm going to go back to this total and this dropping 4 points from where we were last game. Now, keep in mind, too, you've got a San Antonio team, Donnie, that had no problem flying over the totals against the best defense in the NBA and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they just could not hit the shots in game 1. I think both teams shoot better from the perimeter. I think we get a little more foul shooting here tonight. I think it gets more physical, and I think we're going to go flying over this total, and I think that is probably the market with the most room to improve.
And if we get points, Joe, that means people have to be scoring buckets here. And also, look at Victor Wembanyama. You think he goes off tonight? How about 30-plus points? That current contract, only 38 cents, which means a $100 investment on Wemby getting 30-plus. That pays back $264. Exciting game tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's flip it over, Joe, to the WNBA. 10 o'clock start tonight. Wings versus the Sparks. Dallas, a slight favorite, listed at a 52% chance to win this game on the Kalshi Marketplace. A $100 investment, if you do pick Dallas to win this, pays back $193. But also, if you feel that, let's just say they can cover the point spread at 1.5, that $100 investment pays back $182. Dallas and LA tonight, Joe, from LA.
Yeah, I mean, and what we saw from Dallas, and this is a fun team to watch. Paige Beckers and company, 3 in a row now. They're 6-3 on the season. I just watched them on Monday, Donnie. Shut down Seattle defensively. 79-56 they won. And I think they had 17 turnovers that they forced there on Seattle. This is a tough team to score on, but they don't have a problem scoring, Donnie. That's the fun part about them here. I believe Kelsey Plum back here tonight. I do think this is going to be a battle, but I'd much rather be on the wings in this spot than the Sparks.
Another game at 10 o'clock tonight, the Mercury and the Fire. This is why we love this sort of stock market type movement here. 12:21 a.m. last night Eastern, Joe. Phoenix was currently was trading at that time at 60% to win this game. Now you slide it over. It's Portland right now, 56%. Phoenix, 44%. How about that movement in the marketplace where now Portland is the favorite?
Portland should be the favorite. I mean, listen, the Phoenix Mercury are going through it, and it's not great. They did finally break that 6-game losing streak here with a win last time out, but don't make any, let's not confuse it. It's not the start of something good. This is not a good offensive team. And the Portland Fire, I mean, nobody thought or had any idea what to expect from this expansion team this year, Donnie. But what we've gotten is some pretty fun basketball. They're sitting at 6-5. The problem is, they don't play a whole lot of defense either in this spot. Both these teams tend to give up a lot of points and score a lot of points. I think the over is the best way to look in this one.
And by the way, also, understand this. There are different ways you can approach some of these games on the Kalshi Marketplace and the Predictive Markets show. Just last night, we were telling you about that hockey game. Think it might be close. It might go to overtime. And if you did bet it, that $100 investment turned out to be $400 plus in your pocket here. So a lot of different ways to take a look. Major League Baseball today from Philadelphia. The White Sox are in town, and the Phillies are the favorite once again. Luzardo will be on the mound. A 62% chance to win this game. 63 cents is the open number if you want to invest on the Phillies winning. $100 investment pays back $159. Phillies hot again here. A few games above 500, looking to close strong before the All-Star break.
Donnie, I mean, if I would have told you that at this point in the season, these two teams would be facing each other with the same exact record, you probably would have called me crazy, right? 33-29 is what these teams sit right now. Philadelphia had to go through a manager change, right? The White Sox are beginning to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, the White Sox had off yesterday, don't forget. So that was their first day off in the last 2 weeks. Philadelphia, you mentioned it there, Donnie. They handled business finally yesterday by scoring, more than 4 runs, which is always impressive. I think this game is going to be much closer than people think, but I also am not expecting a huge offensive game. I like the under in this spot.
But what happens if lightning does strike twice there, Joe? You take a look at the Kalshi Marketplace, which you can invest in team totals. The Phillies listed at 4.5. The percentage is 54%, but the yes contract, Joe, only 49 cents, which means a $100 investment if the Phillies can get 5 on back-to-back nights is actually plus money at 205 back as your return. The Mets and the Padres. Well, the Mets are like, get me out of Philadelphia. Let's get back home, and maybe times will change. But another East Coast team is going to try to chase them down. That's the New York Mets. And the San Diego Padres are the favorites here, Joe, listed at a 54% chance to win this game outright. The yes contract at 55 cents, which means if the Padres can actually come up with a victory, your return on that investment, $182.
You can't trust these offenses, Donnie, and certainly not with the Padres. Tough spot having to fly back home from Philly yesterday. It feels like I give the edge to the Mets, but they're going to be throwing all sorts of strange pitchers out at the Padres. Maybe they hit, maybe they don't. But look at this total at Petco, Donnie. It's 7. That tells you everything you need to know. Great bullpen, like you mentioned, but you have to actually be in front to be able to use those leverage arms like Mason Miller if you're the Padres. I think they will, but I think the scoring is low. It's an under for me.
Padres, a few short weeks ago, battling with the Dodgers and in first place. Now 7 games back, and you might say, why? They've lost 5 games in a row. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games. They now sit at 32-29. Season going up in flames. But as Joe pointed out, if they stay under their team total, which is 3.5, $100 investment pays back $197. We'll be right back. Me on the PL.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more
point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Well, the talk has been about sports betting handle being down or flat, right, because of the threat of prediction markets and the growth of them. But we've seen Kalshi actually kind of plateau for the first time in recent memory. Looking at a graphic right now, we've had the spike for the Super Bowl, and then this is usually when things die down. Yes, there's March Madness, but usually sports betting handle kind of goes down over the course of spring and summer until we get back to football season.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on Sports.
Prediction Markets Edge on the early line, setting you up for a great weekend, hitting some of those top stories already, which the NBA playoffs in full effect, and the finals continue tonight in game number 2. The weekend look ahead for the WNBA and also Major League Baseball. But we got some big doings in horse racing here, and we need some help. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Raineri. We welcome in Gino Bacola to help us out and sort of decipher the best path in the Belmont Stakes. Gino, thanks so much for joining us today, man. We really appreciate it.
Oh, so happy to be here with you guys. I'm actually just 5 minutes away from Saratoga down the street, but a little bad internet connection, so I was able to jump on the phone with you here instead. We're really excited for the Belmont this year because we don't have a field of like 15, a big field, but honestly, of the 9 horses in it, 7 of them can win this race. Honestly, it is as good and as competitive as a field as we could have put together. And here are my top selections and how I'm going to play it. The horse that I'm the most interested in, guys, is Commandment, the number 7. Mm-hmm. He was one of the favorites going into the Kentucky Derby, and he didn't run poorly. I think he actually had one of the toughest trips in the Kentucky Derby. He moved early a couple different times, and the way that race shaped up, you did not want to be horses moving early. Remember, Golden Tempo won the race coming from dead last. The second place finisher, Renegade, came from like 15th of 18 in the field. So any of those horses that were around early in the Derby, they did not finish all that well. The way this Belmont race sets up, there's just not that much early speed. So I think the way the race sets up is going to be very different from the Kentucky Derby. And some of these horses who didn't run all that well in the Derby might be able to bounce back. And I think Commandment is one of them at 6-1.
Great to hear those numbers here come up, Gina, but also secondarily, we understand that the Belmont Stakes typically at Belmont Park, not the case once again this year. Are there any differences that people might be watching where the length that it used to be at Belmont, is it the same length at Saratoga? And what are the differences here, Gino?
That's a great question. So at Belmont, it was always kind of called the Test of Champions because it was 1.5 miles. And that was a distance that a lot of these horses will never run again and have never run before. At Saratoga, the configuration of the track is different. So they don't run 1.5 miles, they run 1.25 miles. And that was a great question there, Donnie, because that actually makes the race a little bit more competitive for most of the field. Because a lot of these horses, once you get beyond like 1.125 miles, 1.25 miles, they really don't want to run that far. We're just not bred to run that far anymore. Horses run shorter, they run faster, they don't run longer like they used to. So I actually think a horse like Commandment, I wouldn't have liked as much if they were running 1.5 miles. And maybe a horse like Golden Tempo, who won the Derby, you probably would like a little bit more at that 1.5 miles distance because you know that he's going to come running late. This will be the third and final year that the race will be run at Saratoga. They're doing some awesome renovations at Belmont Park, so that'll be ready in a few months, and it is going to be state-of-the-art, up-to-date facilities back at Belmont.
Got a good old days, Gino. Secretariat would have run 8 races between the Preakness and the Belmont by this time of year. Let me ask you, unless I'm missing something, I mean, the last couple of years here at Saratoga, we've seen the winners be in that stalking position. I don't see a whole lot of speed in this race. So, I mean, outside of power shift, what are we talking? A whole lot of horses bunched up around the turn here?
Absolutely. And that's why I picked Power Shift in the second spot, because I think he has a big opportunity to steal this race up front. It's funny is Power Shift and Renegade go for the same owner, Mike Rapoli, and they kind of have totally different running styles, right? Power Shift is going to be up front. Renegade is going to be coming from way, way out of it. I think you want to upgrade the horses that don't have to come from so far out of it. Even Commandment, who is like a mid-pack horse, he actually could be sitting like 3rd or 4th in this race because they're just not that many early speed horses. I think he will benefit from that. And you make a great point, Joe. This is actually the first time in 109 years we don't have one horse from the Preakness that is running back in the Belmont 3 weeks ago. It is a totally different field of horses that were in the Preakness, and we didn't have one horse this year running all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. It just shows you how much racing is changing now in this modern era. We see it in all the sports, right? Like load management. We don't have the pitchers pitching. Some of these teams have 6 rotation starters, and basketball, we're not playing on the back-to-backs as much. Same sort of thing in horse racing. And I do think in the next couple of years, we're actually going to get the expanded Triple Crown because we want to have the races where we get a lot of the best horses running. It does happen this year in the Belmont, but we'd love to see, big fields of 13 and 14 in each of these races.
I love the talk here. And by the way, we're talking to Gino Bacoli here, setting up here for the Belmont Stakes this weekend. I do want to ask you that question, which comes up on a lot of people's minds, is we understand the traditionalists. It's supposed to be really hard, Gino, to win a Triple Crown. That's why not every horse can do this here. But also from a fan perspective, even the casual fans, which brings in more money to racing and adds more excitement. If you're looking from a traditionalist point of view or to just say nowadays, I'm with you on this. I think if you expand the marketplace with more people involved, more people will get into horse racing, and the excitement used to be, okay, you're always going to get a Kentucky Derby winner, which means the Preakness is huge because you want to cheer on to see if the Kentucky Derby winner can win the Preakness. The minute you take that Triple Crown threat out of it, you lose the eyeballs here. So being around the racing industry for yourself, Gino, what do you hear from everybody else? Do more people think it's a good thing to say, let's bring more people into the tent and expand it, or are the traditionalists going to take over and say it's never going to happen?
The traditionalists are starting to really lose the fight because we've already had to change it, Donnie, right? We're already right now not running the 3rd leg at Belmont, and it's already at a shorter distance. So we've already changed it, right? It's still the same date, but we've already made tweaks to it. There were tweaks to the Triple Crown years ago. Then this was a thing that was like an unofficial Triple Crown, right? Like the Belmont used to be run before the Kentucky Derby. There have been changes through the years. We know it. We wanted to kind of be a little bit stubborn and push back, but you're absolutely right, Donnie. We want the best horses to show up. We want the Derby winner to be there on the Preakness, and that will be better for the sport of horse racing always because it keeps the eyeballs in the big name horses that we know. Those names become popular and people know them. So that's what we want to do. And on these big weekends, we love to send everybody to drf.com because that's where we can help you with everything you need. If you're a gambler, if you want to just follow along with the news, if you're looking for help playing the races, we've got you all covered at shop.drf.com. And I think for a lot of the people watching, you may want to check out our daily racing form platform that's called Newbie. If you're a sports bettor, but you don't really play the races all that much, this is perfect for you because it's got a lot of graphs, a lot of colors. It shows you all the information that we use in racing, and it makes it very user-friendly. So a couple things you want to check out, DRF Newbie, and head on over to shop.drf.com, and we'll get you all ready on these big days.
Fantastic stuff there, Gino. Definitely go check out that information. Also, for the people who have never been to Saratoga, what's it actually like, Gino?
Oh, this is my first time. How crazy is that, too? I got the butterflies in my stomach as soon as I was driving up. You feel horse racing everywhere. You see it. I cannot wait to be there the next few days, guys.
Awesome stuff, Gino. Thanks so much for joining us on PME. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon here, and good luck on those races.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
For Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Gina Bacola, fantastic stuff there. Saratoga for the Belmont. One last big horse race, but I did love the fact that even those traditionalists are starting to wear out, Joe. I want to see a Triple Crown. I don't care if it's extended. It makes it easier. Bring more people into the tent, which means we like to reach out to the public. You know, in the first hour of the show, we start talking about fading the public. How about fading the market? Let's go. Yeah, we're fading the public and the market at the same time right now. By the way, if I didn't get a laugh in my ear, I probably wouldn't have known the difference at this point. So I did pay attention and saw that, Joe. But here we go. Also, I am like a card counter, Joe, in Atlantic City. Throw me out because my vote never counts in these polls. But we asked, what market do you want to see on PME? The NHL draft, the Cy Young race. Mentioned markets are Netflix here. And it looks like we have a run between the Cy Young and Netflix. And I wasn't allowed to vote anyway. So there's that.
No, yeah, Donnie, but they looked at it, laughed at it, and then took it down. So that was so much for that for you. But the Cy Young races are interesting, to say the least, this year. Kind of wide open, I think.
It is absolutely wide open, but let's take a look at some of those markets that you do want to talk about, Joe, which includes the Cy Young here. You might be looking at that marketplace saying, who could be the favorite? I don't know. Sanchez damn near threw 60 straight innings without giving up a run. Therefore, he deserves to be the leader in the clubhouse. A 37% chance on the Kalshi marketplace. How about the Miz? Jacob Bizarowski, 25% chance. Shohei Ohtani, who's also been lights out, but I'm not too sure qualifies with the innings just yet. He's at 18%. Skeen's at 8%. Sale's been fantastic at 7%. Chase Burns up and coming for the Cincinnati Reds. A lot of aces out there, Joe, in the National League.
Yeah, but, Skeens can't seem to get to stop giving up runs, and his team keeps losing his starts. So he is what was, to start the year, Donnie, the clear favorite, no longer. Sanchez and Miz, I think they're neck and neck. Both have good teams behind them. Both are going to win their fair share. But I think Ohtani is really the value here at 18 cents, because you and I both know, Donnie, they are going to they want a reason to give him, they've already given him the MVP. They want a reason to give him a Cy Young award. And if he keeps this up with how he's throwing, he will have enough innings. And not only will he have enough innings, he's going to get an awful lot of votes for it. But again, this is the market, Ronnie, where I don't need him to actually win it. I just need the perception of him winning it to drive up the price higher than 18 cents. But I think he's worth investing in.
How about the American League here, Joe? We talked about some of those big names in the National League. Not so much in the American League. Schlittler here, 31%, but he's starting to lose some of his market share, Joe. He's 31%. Dylan Cease of the Toronto Blue Jays at 21%. Jacob deGrom, last man standing out there. Can he stay healthy through the length of the Major League Baseball season to be in this? And then there's Tarek Skubal, who's on the mend at 7%. Could he catch up here, Joe? But Schlittler coming back to the pack here.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Dylan Cease is intriguing, right? He's also been rock steady for Toronto. I still think it's Cam Schlittler's to lose, but now with the, we're hearing a lot, no Aaron Judge now. What are the Yankees going to do? I think Schlittler's still worth the price here at about 35 cents.
Ride the hot streak here, Joe, over at Netflix. What are most people talking about? Going to the movie theaters to check out Michael Jackson. So what does Netflix have? They had something teed up and ready to go as sort of a hit piece on Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, The Verdict. 90% chance of what, you might say? Well, how about the top U.S. Netflix show this week? I believe it just came out Wednesday, I want to say. I will be watching this, but most of the public, Joe, they're watching it as well. Michael Jackson, The Verdict. Hot topics all the way through.
Again, Donnie, I mean, the market's already at 91 cents. They're telling you what the most watched is going to be this week here. So don't bother with the Burrows or the Four Seasons, because we all know it's going to be the Michael Jackson doc here, The Verdict. So, that's pretty much a closed market.
Michael Jackson, that name goes a long way this day and age, both good and bad, but you know what? It's profitable at this point right now. People will watch you attach something Michael Jackson to it, which means, Joe, how many views will the number one show on Netflix have this weekend? It's already at 99% for 6 million, 97% chance for 9 million, 12 million at 94%. Joe, keep going. Ladder this bad boy higher and higher.
Yeah, again, this is one of those, I think the 21 million mark is kind of the cutoff mark, Donnie, where you get just below 50 at 46 cents. And listen, it's worth a couple of bucks to say up and over on that one as well, Donnie. I think it works both ways.
Over 21 million, Joe. That contract, yes, is 46 cents, which means a $100 investment pays back $218. So we give you all the information that you need to know, getting you ready for a weekend here. We're ready for our best bets. We're ready for that action to see it play out. And Joe, next week on this show, do you know what we're going to be talking about? Live coverage of the World Cup as it begins next Thursday. That's how we get down. That's how the information gets to you. Thank you for tuning in today to Prediction Markets Edge on the early line. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and your weekend. We'll catch back up here on Monday.
At the end of the day, LeBron's going to have to put that team on his back. Can he do it? I don't know if he could do it for a 7-game series. Can he give you two, oh my goodness, LeBron at 31? Yeah, I think he can give you a couple of those games. But it's about the other guys that have to step up.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Let me understand this, Joe. Are we going to have any broadcast games on TV anymore? It's all streaming?
You got to pay to watch here, folks. That's just the way it's going to be, one way or the other. And I'm sure this will satisfy, the FCC looking into the coercion that's going on here with the NBA NFL broadcast rights? Yeah, this is all par for the course, I think.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All these idiots out there sounding off on Tiger right now. See, it's so easy to go after a guy that's hurt. He's hurt. Whether you call it whatever you want. He's got a little bit of an issue that he's going to fix. Okay? They're attacking. Attack. Why don't you all shut up and let him go do his thing? He had to leave the country to do it because of privacy? That's nauseating to me.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Now, I see him 15th, 16th, somewhere in that ballpark, and I think that makes sense, Donnie. I don't see him in the top 10. I really don't. I mean, when you look at, let's say, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you start going into that, teams like the Cowboys or the Vikings or the Chiefs, and, could they take a flyer?
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.